Hey, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. So first of all, I think everyone knows who IDC is and our team here. I'd like Shrag to raise his hand because he's our newest member of our team. So if you have questions, feel free to contact myself, Shrag, or Steve Conway, who's also right back there. So I was told to spend 5 minutes. I have 20 slides, so my rate has to be about 15 seconds a slide. So here's the full team members. Some of our standard activities. I'm not sure where the projector is. Is it clipping part of the slides here?
It's okay.
It's okay. You can see okay? Okay. So here are the standard activities we do. We try to track everything sold around the world every quarter by all vendors. We hold 4 HPC user forum meetings, and you're always invited to those, publish a lot of things. The thing I'm going to spend a little bit talking about is assisting government and HPC plans. The DOE grant that was just announced is just tremendous to us. We're going to be announcing a grant that DOE just gave us also officially tomorrow morning. And I'll walk through some of the details on that. But first I'd like to walk through the numbers. So first of all, HPC, is back to growth. It's been in good growth mode since 2010, 2011. Now the first half of 2012 is actually flat, which is kind of unusual to us, but what happened is a lot of giant machines got accepted in Q3. Q3 is going to be the largest quarter ever in HPC, potentially by $500 million, because you have the Recon machine going in at $500 million, you have the gigantic IBM machines that are on the top 10 list, about half of them got accepted. Q4 is also going to be strong because you have a lot of big IBM and Cray machines. So 2012, we think that our original forecast of 7 to 8% was probably too small. We don't have a new number yet, but we think that number was too small. We are currently forecasting 7% growth over the next 5 years. That number also will likely be moved up to something more like maybe 8 or 9% in the next few months on that part. And so here's what the numbers look like for 2011, last full year of data we have. You can see the massive shift in the market. The high end of the market, 25% growth. Low end of the market shrunk 18%. So you have this massive market dynamic taking place. But again, 8.4%. The server market didn't grow anywhere like that. I mean, very few IT sectors are growing at this rate. Here's how the vendors lined up over the last 2 years. Currently, HP and IBM are in a virtual tie. Our statistics aren't as tight as the decimal points are showing. Dell is clearly a third, about half of HP and IBM. And if you notice, all the other vendors are sitting there at literally a 2 to 3% range. Now, for the other vendors, this is extremely lumpy because, for example, Fujitsu is going to have an unbelievable year with Recon coming in. Cray will likely have an unbelievable year because they have 2 giant machines that are getting accepted this year. Here's our new forecast, just to show the numbers. Here shows that downturn in 2008. Almost no other part of the economy had an immediate recovery. HPC had a 1-year hit, boom, and then just went back to a recovery mode. Here's the broader HPC market. Like I said, I only have a few minutes, so I'm going through the numbers quickly. So the first line are the servers growing. We're projecting the 7.3%. Storage, we're still expecting to grow at a higher rate. And this is the actual dollars being spent on storage outside of the scratch disk space, so user-based storage. Middleware applications also growing very well. And this is service relative to maintenance service. This isn't professional service. This is more the repair side. So we expect the market to come close to $30 billion by 2016, if you count all the different subsegments. And with that, I'd like to announce the grant that we have just received from the Department of Energy on behalf of the broader U.S. government. We're going to try to create a quantitative model that shows how investments in HPC, along with the R&D investments, turn into success. And success is either in business profits, cost savings, or revenue, and actually create that economic model for the different countries in the world and all the different industry sectors, how those linkages work, and actually make it so it can be predictive. So if a government wants to come in and say, let's spend 10 billion more in a year, here's what you can expect in the results. The second half of it, the innovation portion, we're going to also create a number of innovation indexes that look the same way, and that is investments in HPC plus the wraparound R&D people and everything else, how that can lead to innovation and what those are. So here are the 2 models that I just described here. We're very excited to do this. This is the largest study that IDC has ever taken on, at least in the HPC group, and we'll be creating these 2 different sets of models. The one thing I should mention is this is not like normal economic data. Many people have tried this just looking at the existing economic data, but economic data doesn't exist for the relationships I'm talking about, in particular the time delays. You make an investment in HPC, it might be 10 years later before you have a result. And so we're going to actually be collecting the raw data for that and create a predictive model. And I'm just showing some quick snapshots of what we have to do in the research. So for example, for each industry in each country, you look at the gigantic numbers. Like this is a trillion-dollar industry or $100 billion industry, a large portion of it doesn't even do R&D. It's a gas station or whatever. So for each industry, we have to figure out what the segment is that does any kind of R&D. And then in each of those segments, the ones that are already using the maximum amount you could apply HPC to, the ones that don't really need HPC, they're doing R&D on a desktop or something else, and the percent that could use more HPC. So this will create an entire matrix of these numbers. It will be divided by industry, sector, organization side, country, length of time doing an R&D, and probably another 5 or 6 parameters. So these are the type of data sets we're going to collect. We're going to run the model, create a draft model, run it, then collect a new data set, try it, and we're hoping it's in a 6-month to 7-month window, run the model 3 times. So actually try to figure out what parameters make sense, which ones don't make sense, and are important. Now on the innovation side, we're going to create, I mentioned, multiple indexes. So for new products and services, more the business side of innovation, we're going to be doing what are the major innovations. Apple iPad's always brought up, or Apple iPhone is a major innovation. But then the incremental innovations, Japan and China have always been criticized. Well, most of your innovations are making a factory work better, making this incrementally better. And so we'll be tracking both those types. And then for science and discovery, for that side, we'll have a similar 2 types, fundamental research and applied science. And my last slide is inviting everyone to our future HPC user forum meetings. So I think I kept that close to 5 minutes.
That's really good. Thank you.
Good.
Questions?